All right, so welcome back, everybody. I know that it has been a hot minute since I have been on here, and life has just been crazy. So we're expecting our second grandbaby any minute, and just a lot has been going on. So I haven't had a chance to jump on and make a video in a while, other than shorts. I do post quite a bit of shorts, so if you are following me, you are getting the shorts quite frequently. So we're gonna jump right on into it, and let's get going. And I do, of course, have my little pup here. He is joining me, and my cat, I'm sure, will be making herself known pretty soon. I can feel her presence somewhere behind me. So, all right, so here we go. I'm just going to start rattling them off, and I hope that you enjoy this video. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I do like to interact with you guys. So, all right, let's get started. Sold this vintage 1989 Enesco pop-up Juno musical display. I did pick it up for $5, and it sold for $130. That is an offer that I took on it. Next, we have the Splinter and Baxter, which is from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a toy. Bought it, picked it up for $10, and it sold for $55. Most of these are going to be offers that I'm accepting from my eBay store. If a good offer comes in and it's reasonable, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to take it. Then I have this 1959 When It Rains Cats and Dogs book. Picked it up for $1, and it sold for $12.99. Then we have these Axe Excite for Him. Bought these, it was a 10 pack, and then I had 3 of them, so I had 30 of them. They sold for, and I mean fairly quickly. Had them, picked them up for $7, and they sold for $44.97. We have this vintage lighter. It was a Snip brand. Picked it up for $5. It sold for $32. Then we have this vintage, it is a Harley Davidson t-shirt. The vintage ones go for really good money. So I picked this up for $4, and it sold pretty quick for $25.99, which was full price. Then we have the, it was a set of 4. It was a W.S. Dougherty framed pictures. They were really faded, and I only picked them up for like $5 for the set. I wasn't really sure how, or if anybody would be interested in them because they were so faded. Here's the picture so you can see, extremely faded. They sold, I want to say within 2 weeks they were sold, and those sold for $35, $35.07, and that of course was an offer that I took on them. Then we have a vintage mid-century modern pillow, footstools. They were the stackable pillows. These up for $15, and they sold really fast for $150, and that was an offer that I took on them. This 1970s Clydesdale Briar set. Briars are always a really good investment. If you see them, pick them up, as long as you can get them for a good deal. I got these for a really good deal. Picked both of these up for $10, and they sold for $37.99. We have this 1990 Barbie thermos. Picked it up for $1, and it sold for $11.99. Then we have this 1970s Kansas brochure book. Books, brochures, anything paper. A lot of times at estate sales or garage sales, people just don't want them. They'll put them by the side of the road, or they'll, whole box for, $1, whatever. And you can normally pick them up for, fairly cheap. Pick this one up for $1, and it sold pretty quick for $20. Then we have this Patrick Nagel. I'm $10 in on it, and it sold for $199.99. So let me go and tell you a little story about this Nagel. I had sent this Nagel through the mail. Already had sold it. It came in the original frame. It was beautiful. Well, it got just busted up. But it was only the frame that got busted up, not the actual Patrick Nagel artwork. The artwork was fine. So I just took it out of the frame, and actually sold it for more than what I sold it for with the frame. I had sold it with the frame for $179. Of course, I had to give the lady her money back because it did get busted in shipping, but I sold it again and got full asking price, which was $199. So I'm a happy camper. Then we have the Soldier Force patrol boat. Now I've had this boat probably for about, I want to say 2 years. Well, so it's been a while. Some of this stuff does have a long tail on it. So just remember that when you're, selling, that some of this stuff does take a while to sell. Anyway, picked it up for $1, and it sold for $20. Then we have this Jack Daniel's distillery glass. This one Picked it up for $1 and it sold for $8.50. Now, this cup, I've had it for 2 years. I know that I've had it for 2 years because it was one of the very first things that I ever bought. And I won't be buying it again. It's too long, way too long, but I wanted to include it just so that you could kind of see that not everything that you sell is gonna sell immediately. Some of it does take a while to sell. Now this one was a quick flip. It is a Nintendo Super Mario Brothers. It is a Piranha Plant Light. Picked it up for $8.99 and it sold almost immediately for $29.99. That was an offer that we accepted. Then we have the vintage Atomic Thermos. Picked this up for $1 and it sold for $20. Then we have the vintage Pioneer Wear Vest. Picked this up for $5 and it sold for $20. The Pit by Frank Norris book. Picked this book up for $1 and it sold for $21.92. Then we have trinket trays. I will tell you what, I have the best success with trinket trays. If I pull up to an estate sale or garage sale and they have trinket trays, I am getting those trinket trays because they sell like hotcakes. I don't know why, but they sell really, really good. Picked these up for $1, they sold for $16. Then we have this Nepion milk container. It's like a porcelain, really, really beautiful. Picked it up for $5 and it sold for $25. Then we have this Spengali, or Spenguli, I guess is the way it's said. It is a sweatshirt, it's a hoodie. Picked it up for $6 and it sold for $65. So now we have this vintage 1997 puppy plush. Picked it up for $1, it sold for $29, and this one sold fairly quickly. Monday Begins on Saturday book, picked it up for $6 and it sold again super fast for $40. Then we have this handmade outfit. It's kind of like a prairie looking dress. Picked it up for $5 and an estate sale sold for $30. Then this Angelica book. It's like this Angelica little mouse that dances around. It's a hardcover. Anyway, I picked it up for $1 and it sold for $19. Then we have a 1982 shirt and it had like a chicken on it or something. Anyway, picked it up for $3 and it sold, I want to say probably 6 months, and it sold for $30. Then we have a Van Dutch beanie, had it for about 2 years, picked it up for $1 and it sold for $29. Then we have another set of art. I do a lot of art, y'all. So a set of 3 art by the Fleck Brothers, picked it up for $5 and it sold for $34. Here is the T-Rex poster by Frank Frazetta. Picked up for $4 and it sold for $29. Then we have this antique, very old, architectural salvage, and it was a stag. Anyway, it was like this real pretty piece, I guess, that you would like put on the top of like a hutch or something. Anyway, picked it up for $50 and it sold for $430. Then we have this Mileywood shirt, picked it up for $4. It sold for full price, $19.99. Now, here is something that I do a lot at garage sales and estate sales. I find like boxes that are just full of little knickknacks or whatever and just take it up to the front and ask them, hey, how much, will you, sell this whole box to me for? Pick this whole box up probably for, a little or nothing, $3. So I just said $1. So this is a 1960s powder case that was inside of one of those boxes and it sold for $15.99. I want to say within 2 days. This Coors hat is a vintage hat, picked it up for $1, sold for $20. This thread lot, again, picked this up at an estate sale for $5 and it sold, took about a year, but it sold for $30. Then we have this from a repeat buyer. Love those repeat buyers. This one from a repeat buyer, it was an 18-inch Nemo plush. I do a lot with plushes, y'all. So picked it up for $3 and it sold for $19. Then we have this Classy Tassie plush. This is kind of like a extra large Beanie Baby is basically what it is. Anyway, picked this one up again for $3 and it sold for $24.99. Vintage Barbie shoes, little tiny little shoes. Again, just came with like a Barbie lot that was in this box. And I want to say that the lady was just like, give me whatever you want for the whole box. And so I'm going to say I'm probably in for $1. Anyway, so $1 and they sold almost immediately for $13. Then we have the vintage K Products hat, which is kind of like agricultural. Picked the hat up for $5 and it sold for $35.99. Now, this one is a 1983 Dankin plush Foofer Pooch. Do you guys remember this? It was like a cartoon, like in the newspaper that used to come in. Anyways, a blue pooch. Picked this dog up for $10 and he sold for $100. And of course, it's a plush. I love plushes. Then we have a 1960s bookend from Don Quixote. Picked these bookends up for $8 and they sold for $55. Again, that is an offer that I accepted. Then we have a vintage redhead bone dry jacket. Now, picked this up in an estate sale, had holes all in it. It just was in the back of a closet. This was like the last day of the estate sale, so it was like a Sunday, and everybody had walked by this jacket. I picked it up. I paid $1 for this jacket, and it sold almost immediately for $39.99. Then we have a leapfrog pad. It did not have the charger with it. It did have some games and the headphones and the case, but no charger. So of course I just included that in the description, picked it up for $5 and it sold, I want to say in 2 weeks, for $29.99. Picked up another prairie dress set, picked it up for $2 at an estate sale, sold almost immediately for $35.99. Most of the vintage stuff that I have been seeing that sells really, really quick are the stuff that sells for about $30. I know there are other people that have theirs listed for really, really high amounts, but mine never seem to sell for those high amounts. They always seem to go for a little bit less. Then we have this Redman golf cover. Now, I had put this on once before and it got removed, and I just put it on again. Anyway, picked it up for $1 and it sold for $69.99. Then we have this Build-A-Bear T-Rex set. 2. Picked it up for $5 and they sold for 25 bucks. Then we have this Angel Temptation shirt, was $4 in and it sold for $45. Now, these I'm excited about because it seems like a lot of times I'll go to these estate sales and I find these really cool jackets all the time. And I'm very, very excited that I do. So picked this vintage EMT jacket up. It is orange, picked it up for $5 and it sold immediately for $70. Then we have a 1950s Mickey doll. This was a very antique old doll. $5 in, it sold for $45. Now, you know, you would think that all of the old CD-ROMs and stuff would not be something to pick up, but let me tell you, they sell, and they sell consistently. I would say that that's one of the bread and butters that I sell quite frequently. So picked up this Norton antivirus from 2001 and it's used and open and everything else, paid $1 for it and it sold for $24.99. Then we have another vintage EMT jacket. So this one's a small repeat buyer from the guy from before. Picked this one up for $5 and it sold for $50. Then we have a vintage Japan little plastic doll. I had not ever seen one of these before, but picked it up for $1 and it sold for $25.99. And of course, that is an offer that I accepted on the doll. Then we have a New Jersey Devils, a jersey, extra large. Picked this one up at a garage sale for $5, sold for $50. Then we have a vintage EMT ambulance jacket. This one I paid $5 for, again, from the same estate sale, and it sold for $99. All right, then moving right along. We have an antique Art Deco shade. Picked this up at a garage sale for $10 and it sold for $221. All that Art Deco stuff, if you find any, it's worth some money. And most of the time, people don't know what it is. They just think, oh, this old light in my house, I need to get rid of it, when other people are looking for that old light to put in their house. It's just crazy. If you can find it, somebody somewhere is looking for it. Then we have the Groovy Girl set. Picked this Groovy Girl set up at the bins. And so I'm probably about $3 in on this whole set and it sold for $35. Now I'm gonna leave with the very last thing that is on my list, and just because I thought it was kind of cool. So if you buy an antique or an old, not antique, vintage, if you buy a vintage toy or walkie-talkies or anything like that that has batteries in it, when you pop off that pack, it's gonna have some old batteries in it. Those batteries, somebody somewhere is looking for those batteries. From one of my pickups that I had picked up, I think it was walkie-talkies, I opened up the back and it had these Double D Ever Ready with the black cat on them, which of course are the vintage ones. put them on, I think I listed them for like $8. Anyway, somebody offered me $5, I took it. So I'm in at really, you know, whatever the original thing was that has already sold a long time ago. And I just got left with these batteries. And so, hey, why not? If it's there, somebody's looking for it, they're going to pay you for it. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure you like, subscribe, comment, and of course, hit that little bell. So that way you know anytime that I post something new. All right, I hope to see you later. Bye.